When we think about getting older, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's kind of grim, right? Fading health, maybe some regrets. But what if that whole picture is just wrong? What if science actually shows that life's last chapters are often the happiest? Yeah, for real. So let's dive into this surprising truth about getting older. And who better to kick this off than Mark Twain, right? He always got straight to the point, usually with a joke. He once said he made it to 70 by sticking to a lifestyle that would, and I quote, kill anybody else. Classic Twain. But, beyond the humor, he's making a great point. There's no one-size-fits-all formula for a long, happy life. But, and this is the key part, there are some really powerful patterns. So that brings us to this really fascinating idea called the happiness paradox. It's totally counterintuitive. You'd think with all the physical stuff that comes with aging, people would be less happy. But nope. Turns out, older folks are often way happier, more content, and less stressed than younger adults. It just flies in the face of what we expect, but it's a pattern we see over and over in the research. Okay, but that's the general idea. What about the hard data? It's one thing to have a cool theory, but does it actually hold up when scientists look at it? Well, the answer is a huge, resounding yes. And wait till you see the numbers, they're pretty eye-opening. And here it is. The data is just crystal clear. When you look at the United States, on average, older adults consistently report way higher levels of well-being than younger people. And this isn't just some fuzzy feeling, right? It's a measurable statistical trend. You can literally see this upward curve in happiness as people get older. So what's going on here? What's happening under the hood? Well, it turns out our actual personalities tend to shift, and for the better. As we age, we generally become more agreeable, more conscientious. And that thing called neuroticism, that tendency to get anxious and worry all the time, that actually drops. What's the result? Less stress, more positive feelings. We literally just mellow out in the best possible way. Okay, so we know older people are generally happier. The big question is, what are they doing that's so different? Well, it seems to boil down to a few key secrets, a few behavioral shifts. And the very first one? It's all about who you choose to have in your life. Think about it. When you're young, it's often a numbers game, right? You're trying to collect as many friends and connections as you can. It's all about quantity. But as people get older, something really important changes. They stop. They stop trying to keep up this huge, sprawling network, and they start pruning. They become like curators of their own social lives, focusing their precious energy only on the relationships that are genuinely deep and meaningful. So you can see this stark difference in strategy. For younger adults, it's all about building a network that's wide, but maybe a little shallow. Tons of acquaintances, But for older adults, it's the complete opposite. They're all about cultivating a network that's narrow, but incredibly deep. Fewer people, for sure, but the connections are so much richer. Now, you might be thinking, okay, smaller circle, does that mean people just get more selfish and withdrawn? It's a fair question. But amazingly, the data shows the exact opposite is true. And that brings us to secret number 2. The surprising power of altruism. It's such a cool twist, isn't it? At the very same time they're cutting down their list of casual friends, older adults are becoming more generous and more focused on helping other people. I mean, one review looked at 16 different studies, and in 14 of them, that's almost all of them, older adults were more altruistic. They just get this deep sense of well-being from serving others. And to really nail this down, researchers came up with this brilliant experiment. It's called the dynamometer test. Basically, it's a device that measures how hard you can squeeze something. So they had people squeeze it as hard as they could to win a reward. But here's the catch. Sometimes the reward was for them, and sometimes it was for a total stranger. It's a really pure way to measure how much effort you're willing to put in, and for who. And the results were just, wow. Younger adults, they consistently squeezed harder when they were winning the reward for themselves. No surprise there. But the older adults, get this, they put in more physical effort when the reward was going to someone else. That's not just a small change, that's a fundamental shift in what motivates us, from what's in it for me to how can I help? All right, our final secret, and this one might be the most powerful of all. It's all about how we deal with the inevitable stress that life throws at us. You could almost call it the art of the shrug. And it's really this clever two-part strategy. First, with more life experience, they just get better at avoiding stressful situations in the first place. They know what to steer clear of. But hey, sometimes you can't avoid it, right? And that's when they pull out their secret weapon. They just react less. And the effect of this is massive. A recent study followed people over time and found that 70-year-olds felt stress on 40% fewer days than 25-year-olds. Let that sink in. 40%. That is a huge improvement in your day-to-day life, all from learning what's actually worth getting worked up about and what's not. It sounds almost too simple, but this is the heart of it. They learn to care less about the stuff that, in the grand scheme of things, just doesn't matter. Now, this isn't about being apathetic or not caring at all. It's about being smart with your emotional energy. They learn how to just shrug off those little annoyances that might send a younger person spiraling. You know, there's a great story from the author of our source material that just pulls all three of these secrets together perfectly. So, about 25 years back, he was at this conference in Rome for an international charity. And this world-renowned scholar, about 60 years old at the time, was there. Now, she'd flown all the way across the world, for free, mind you, just to share her expertise. Right there, that's your altruism. And she was totally engaged in the sessions, focusing on the people and the cause she believed in. That's curating her circle. But then came the final dinner. So she walks into this fancy party, takes one look around, and just goes, "This place is too loud." And with that, she turns around and leaves. Now, for a younger person, that's like a social catastrophe, right? But for her, it was simple. The stress of a noisy, crowded party just wasn't worth it. And that, my friends, is the art of the shrug in action. It's beautiful. So, the best part about all of this, you don't have to wait until you're 70 to tap into this wisdom. We can actually break this down into 3 simple rules for living that you can start using, well, today. Okay, rule number 1, go deep or go home. Just stop wasting time on superficial stuff. Focus your energy on the relationships and conversations that actually mean something. Love, philosophy, what really matters. Second, serve more. Find a way, any way, to help others or contribute to a cause you care about. That amazing feeling of well-being, it's often a side effect of lifting other people up. And third, and this is a big one, care less. When you're stressed, just ask yourself this one simple question. Will this still bother me in a week? If the answer is no, you have my full permission to just let it go right now. And that brings us right back to where we started with Mark Twain. You know, for all his witty one-liners, it's pretty clear he got it. He said he laid his course toward the sinking sun with a contented heart. That kind of contentment, it doesn't come from avoiding problems. It comes from having those deep connections, doing meaningful things for others, and having the wisdom to just shrug off everything else. So, to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question. A little challenge for yourself. Based on everything we've talked about, what's one small thing, one little annoyance that's been bugging you that you are going to consciously choose to care less about this week?